How's it going, everybody? Sandwich Pants here today, and I got a video for you guys. Let's see if I can find it on here again. There it is. This is like the fifth time I've tried this. So, I'm gonna go ahead and do a lot of preempting here, and not by a lot, I mean like a little bit. He's gonna call Politico a liberal blog. It's a news outlet, and then he's gonna conflate a whole bunch of shit.
But first, you might have seen that 2 Michigan state legislators met with the president this afternoon at the White House. The topic of conversation apparently was election irregularities in that state, and it might not seem like a very big deal. Politicians coming to Washington to talk to the head of their party. It's pretty conventional, it happens a lot. What you didn't know is that it's now a felony. A guy called Richard Primus wrote a piece for the liberal blog Politico, arguing that the Republican legislators should be prosecuted for their visit to the White House. Primus claims to have authority on legal questions. He says he works at the University of Michigan's law school. According to Professor Primus, these 2 lawmakers are, quote, being visibly invited to a meeting where the likely agenda involves the felony of attempting to bribe a public official. Visibly invited? What does that mean? And how exactly would he know that bribes were offered in the White House? Well, of course, he wouldn't know, but it's not like Politico was going to fact-check a guy called Professor Primus, so they went with it. Whatever.
Alright, giving him plenty of time. Being visibly invited, what does that even mean? Alright, so first off, this is an opinion piece. He's not calling for anybody to be arrested. It'd be smarter to cancel it. Boom. Hey, you should probably not do that. There's kind of laws against that. Here's dangers with it. Here's reasoning. His reasoning I will happen to, Jesus Christ, agree with in this instance. President's a deal maker. It's far more likely his agenda is transactional. Yeah, makes sense. No one's wrong. Then there's the deal. And then he said recently, or it's now, a felony. Act 328 of 1931 under the Michigan Penal Code. So it's enacted in 1931, before World War II. You grifting little shit. You brainless little fucking... It's the sound of a sewer gurgling. Because he's sewage.
It's a crime to talk to Trump. Everyone knows that. That's an article of faith at MSNBC. The rest of us in America have been laboring under the illusion that the First Amendment still applies in this country. MSNBC's legal experts know better than that. Supporters of unpopular presidents deserve the lengthiest jail sentences possible.
Oh, I would like to point out, this is talking about 2 people. This entire thing started off with 2 people who were in danger of breaking an actual law. Potentially.
At least 20 years. They've read the fine print on that, and they've confirmed it. They went to Yale Law School. Yesterday, one of the channel's anchors, a Harvard graduate you should know, someone whose blog was once unfortunately hacked by racist time-traveling cyber hooligans, explained the legal standard to viewers.
As he remains holed up in the White House like an end-stage dictator, refusing to concede, and frankly, to just go away, dissolving into unreality, while the Republican Party remains silent. And at this point, it's hard to argue with lifelong Republicans like Stuart Stevens, who are calling it sedition.
Sedition! Ladies and gentlemen, this is serious. Sedition is punishable by decades in prison, possibly death.
Okay, so, since he wants to bring that up, let me go ahead and close that tab. The Sedition Act, for one, $10,000, not more than $10,000 fine, not more than 20 years in prison, or both of those. Sedition Act was repealed. It's never lasted more than 3 years whenever they do it. Like, it's just a thing. They never keep it. It's always found to be bad. always found to be bad. So, that's the thing. I don't know.
Get the scaffolds ready. In the considered legal opinion of an MSNBC anchor quoting an unemployed middle-aged political consultant, that's what we could be looking at here. Meanwhile, Democrats in Congress are suggesting the death penalty is on the table. Bill Pascrell, a representative from New Jersey, tweeted this, quote, "Tonight I'm calling for the eventual prosecution of Donald Trump and his enablers for their..."
All right.
"There are many crimes against the United States. Traitors."
Oh, crimes against the... All crimes are treated as offenses against the state or government insofar as these acts or actions disturb the public tranquility. So, now, if it's directed against the existence of the state, like treason, sedition, or rebellion, which sedition isn't even in effect really anymore, there is still the Espionage Act, but, like, it's mostly changed this, it's espionage. So,
will swing. Keep in mind that Bill Pascrell is a former mayor of a town in northern New Jersey. In northern New Jersey. But he's very upset about the idea of corruption in politics. The New Jersey mayor's shocked. So much for democratic norms and the peaceful transitions of power they spent 4 years lecturing us about. There will be none of that. They think they won, now they want blood. And by the way, Joe Biden hasn't spoken up against any of this, apparently.
Joe Biden doesn't support any of this. He just doesn't go out and do a lot of pressers, and neither does Kamala.
He agrees with it. Kamala obviously does. What is this? Well, it's ugly and it's bad. It's also dangerous, far more dangerous than anything Rudy Giuliani could do in 1,000 press conferences. You'll notice that Giuliani has not called for the White House to round up and imprison its political opponents. He never will call for that. Republicans generally don't call for that. In fact, they never do. Republicans are fascists, the New York Times tells us. What a hack newspaper.
They are.
But who's eager to shoot the prisoners? It's not right-wingers. It's the other side. And it always is the other side.
False. There are more instances of retribution, quote-unquote, from right-wingers than there ever is from leftists. Liberals can be vicious as fuck, I will not deny that. But on a social level. Republicans are vicious all around.
Always. We've seen it for the last 4 years. Federal authorities, many of them openly...
Oh yeah, and the claim. Kamala hadn't done anything. Like any pressers or anything. And there's like a whole shitload of interviews here, just pointing out. Now this, Russ Bauer, Morning Show, Grio, CNN, NBC, ABC, like interviews and stuff that she's done. And then Weasley little shit tried to quote-unquote clarified, backpedaled, and tried to make a point that he didn't initially mean. That she hasn't done local and national press interviews, but she hasn't taken like serious questions from journalists traveling with her. And even that was false, because she did one. She hasn't done many, but she did one.
Hostile to the current administration, use the power of law to punish their political enemies. And
False.
We saw it unfold right on television. They pursued process crimes like they were dangerous felonies. Why'd they do that? You know why they did it.
They didn't pursue process crimes like they were dangerous felonies. They pursued things that were perceived and indicted as felonies, and then had to charge them with process crimes, mostly due to evidence that had been tampered with, destroyed, lying that people actually were able to corroborate, like the lie together. So the alibi stayed solid within a group.
At one point, they sent a SWAT team and a TV crew from CNN
It's actually written in the Mueller report.
to raid the home of an unarmed 68-year-old man because they claimed he had vital information about Russia collusion.
Flight
They
risks.
actually told a judge that. They dragged him from his home like he was running a fentanyl lab or like he had just stolen a tank from a military base. And in the end, after they humiliated him, destroyed his life, we learned what we already knew.
If they had treated him like he stole the tank from a military base, man had been shot. And if he was running a fentanyl lab, probably would have been shot.
Roger Stone
Oh, by the DEA, not by the FBI.
wasn't part of any conspiracy. In the end, the feds were forced to downgrade the charges from agent of Vladimir Putin to he may have lied to Congress once. The whole thing was a disgrace, but so-called liberals loved it. They clapped like seals at a water park, totally delighted by this man's suffering.
Roger Stone, like Donald Trump, is a political con man whose showman shtick has finally caught up with him.
That's just a fact. There was no celebration there. Except for the fact that he got arrested. He didn't even sound happy about it. He just sounded factual.
Let me be the first to say, if you look up the word scumbag in the dictionary, you're going to see Roger Stone's picture there.
I am just so damn happy this guy is
Oh,
indicted.
some celebration.
He is a horrible human being. He is a thug. He is a bully. Bye-bye, baby. Karma is a bitch.
Bye-bye, baby. That's what they say when they come for you. It's sickening. It ought to scare you. It ought to make you worry about what happens when ghouls like that take power in this country. The whole process is inevitable. You could have called it. We've seen it unfold all over the third world, only for like 100 years.
You know what I find funny is he's talking about Russia and the investigation, and that's what happens when Democrats take power. But that investigation started before Democrats took power, under a Republican House, under a Republican Senate, under a Republican president.
When you politicize law enforcement, and they have, when you prosecute the president's advisors for lying, but ignore the obvious lying from, say, the acting director of the FBI, the director of national intelligence who lied under oath, you get what we're seeing now. The same people who complained about a politicized Department of Justice are now salivating at the prospect of unleashing the Department of Justice on their political enemies.
No.
And
Only
why
people
wouldn't they
who
do
commit
that?
crime.
Kamala Harris has been calling for it for quite some time.
If you become president, if he was never impeached, would you want the Department of Justice, now that he is no longer a sitting president, to go forward with those obstruction of justice charges?
I believe that they would have no choice and that they should, yes. There has to be accountability.
That is a factual statement. If he committed crimes, which he ostensibly did, they need to go ahead with the investigation to figure that out. Actually, no, it was already figured out. But no, they need to do the thing. Yeah, they just need to clap them cuffs.
There has to be accountability. We're keeping an irony file, but it's too big. We have to have accountability, says the politician who refused to submit to a single press conference while running as Joe Biden's running mate.
Aha!
The
I knew it would
dishonesty
come
is
up.
brazen, and you can begin to understand why so many Americans have lost their faith in our institutions, including in our elections. Why? Because the people managing them are dishonest and incompetent. Our leaders are demanding that we cower in our homes. They dine at the French Laundry. They're fantasizing about punishing you for how you voted. But if you dare to notice any of this, if you dare...
They're punishing you for how you voted. Remember, people, this started talking about two people. Two fucking people that went to meet with the president that could be in trouble if they go to meet with the president because of the way that, like, it's an opinion piece. One person wrote an article about two people, and now he's talking about how they want to punish you for how you voted. How the fuck do you make that reach, Tucker? That's not what happens here. There has to be accountability for the people who committed crimes in the name of the United States. Fucking prosecute Obama under war crimes, we'll prosecute fucking Bush under war crimes, we'll prosecute Trump under war crimes, we'll prosecute fucking Clinton under war crimes. Okay? We'll do them all. You want to round up Hillary in there too? She's probably criminal in a lot of ways too that just hadn't been uncovered. Because she's good at the lying. And she's scary. If they did the crimes, they go away. That's the thing. So stop fucking conflating this shit about how they want to punish you for the way you voted. No. I don't want to arrest a fucking Trump supporter. My dad is a Trump supporter. I don't want to go and have him fucking arrested for having having voted and supported Trump.
Notice what's happening.
He didn't commit a crime.
You're the dangerous lunatic. Maybe get the DOJ on your trail. Every once in a while, the mask does slip, and they concede what's going on. Occasionally, the media class tells the truth. It almost always happens by accident. It happened earlier this month. A PBS correspondent, by the way, that's someone whose salary you help pay with your tax dollars, that's an actual employee of actual state media, he admitted that the relentless focus on jailing Donald Trump and his supporters actually helps the media. The media understand their ratings will...
Now, just to point out, this man, right here, just keep in mind, he's talking about the media, which he works at. He's a part of. He is media.
Plummet if they're forced to talk about anything other than Donald Trump. They have nothing to say, and of course they'll never cover Joe Biden. They voted for Joe Biden. So that's their nightmare scenario. By continuing to hyperventilate about Donald Trump for the rest of their lives, if possible, maybe they'll stave off irrelevance till the mortgage is paid. Listen closely to this clip.
So you have been President Trump selling this idea that there's a deep state conspiracy theory against him, that he's the #1 victim in America. So if he gets indicted, if he even goes to jail, he might sell that idea to the millions of people who voted for him, and he might become even more powerful. And that's what the GOP is really scared about. That's why you're seeing not that many people stand up to him.
True. GOP's a bunch of spineless people. Let's face it. Like, elected representatives, 100% spineless as fuck. Total cuck. Totally cucked. By this guy right here. You, Tucker. Same thing.
It's unbelievable on every level. A correspondent who can't speak in a grammatically correct sentence, A. B, the dishonesty of it. Framing this as another clever conspiracy by Donald Trump. But of course, it's about the media. They're narcissists. Everything is about them. Of course, they want to keep talking about Donald Trump. They need to keep talking about Donald Trump. And if that means sending people to prison for the wrong political views, it is worth it.
Now, let's go over that last little bit real quick. If it's putting people with opposing political views in jail is not how that went. The entire Mueller investigation that you were using as your justification for this thing, outside of this, or remember, opinion piece, opinion, by one guy, saying that they'd be smart to cancel a meeting because they could potentially break a law. So, there's that. There is no will from leftists. I mean, there are some leftists who would want to jail political opponents, but those are the fucking tankies and they're not real leftists. They're not. Come at me. But no, overall, no. Nobody wants to just jail fucking Republicans. That's dumb as shit. So we had him misrepresenting an opinion piece and lying about what the guy says in it. We have him going to overinflate the numbers for sedition on, minimum 20 years as opposed to not more than 20 years of imprisonment on an act that isn't even, that was repealed in 1920, although parts of the original Espionage Act remain in force. That's a thing. He lied about whether or not Kamala's had any, she hadn't had any specific, actual press conferences except for one, since she became running mate. And, okay, so, that doesn't mean anything. So we have irrelevant information, misrepresentation, outright lying, pure idiocy. Why does this man have a TV show? I will never know. I just won't know. If you guys like this video, consider leaving a like, go ahead and comment, let me know what's up, and subscribe if you like the content on the channel. It's going to be more of this as opposed to more of the gaming. My PlayStation is dead. My streaming will never, like my recording will never be able to happen again on that. Not on this computer. It's too weak. So it's politics and maybe some Magic Arena, although that's proven to be bad. Alright, well. Thank you, people. Good night.